Hello. Hello and welcome. Here. Guess I can throw this off now. Look at this. Happy Monday, or whatever day you're getting in on this or whatnot. Here we go. Let's yoga this morning. As simple as that. Let's find some time to breathe, to move, to enjoy all of those sweet little things in life. Taking time to appreciate what we do have. Maybe developing that attitude of generosity, thankfulness, gratitude, acceptance. So starting in a comfortable position, and start to just ask yourself, what can I appreciate in this moment? What can I be grateful for? I know that there's changes happening, whether that be more restrictions or more frustrations or even just more sadness, having plans be canceled. So the question is, how can you adapt? How can you find the light in the darkness as we also head into some of the darkest weeks of the year? Maybe it's time to find out how you can bring a little bit of light, a little bit of joy in. Sometimes, or at least I used to think that there was seasons in life, good times and bad times. And it was always these ebbs and flows of one and then the other. As I start to get older, I start to realize that I think it's more linear than that. I think sometimes it comes down to perspective. Now, when something bad happens, I'm not in a whole season of badness. It doesn't need to consume absolutely every part of my life. But that one little area, or maybe even big area, has a little bit of darkness. And that's okay. Because I'm certain there's other areas of my life at the same time that still have some light. And trying to keep that perspective of it being more like train tracks, walking down. You have the good side and the bad side. Sometimes you hop between the two. But trying not to walk on one for too long. Finding that balance to life, that stability. So we'll work on that in our practice today. Maybe it just starts as a thought. And this Yin Yang practice will take a bit of movement. Maybe we'll work a little bit harder. And then we'll take some rest, some more restorative or yin style of practice. Or we'll get more into the mind and we'll stretch. We'll engage in that little bit of stillness. Not letting it necessarily be good nor bad, just simply existing. So as you're settling down into that pose that's comfortable, let's roll those shoulders back and down. Let's work on creating a little bit of space. And take a little tuck to the chin. Let's lengthen that spine. We often have our head so far forward, which actually just adds more weight onto the neck, onto the shoulders, increasing that tension unknowingly, never mind it being about the circumstances of life. Let's come to the breath. Breathing in, little pause, breathing out. Little pause, letting it circle around. Taking that breath, maybe just as it comes, in a nice neutral. And then maybe work on lengthening it, drawing it long. Letting it deepen. Starting to breathe more into that diaphragm area, breathing low into the abdomen, feeling the rise and fall of the belly. Allowing there to be space. I am also reminded that I used to get so self-conscious, breathing into the abdomen or breathing into the belly. I don't want that area to become bigger. No, I just laugh and giggle at that. It's simply about taking a full breath. Are you getting in your own way of fullness? To gnaw on that, give you a few life lessons. Simply just breathing, feeling that connection throughout the body. Maybe throughout the mind, throughout the heart, letting everything be as one. Using this time to maybe set a little intention, a little encouragement or dedication, whatever you need this morning, a little word or phrase. Find some gentle movement. Finding a little wiggle into the fingers and the toes. A little squeeze maybe through the shoulder blades. Maybe start to roll the wrists and the ankles, getting some of those nice cracks and pops out. Just finding that movement. You're in a seated position, let's roll things back and down, laying down on the mat. A little bit of space that you've created. Feeling the connection of the spine, the back, with more of a harder surface. Feeling maybe things realign, take those little wiggles, and continue to wake up the body. Maybe you're rolling at the elbows. Let's come into a nice good morning stretch. That nice big inhale as you reach those arms up tall overhead. You can extend the legs, maybe point the toes, creating that space, feeling this not just through the arms, but see if you can get into the rib cage as you reach up so nice and tall. Take that exhale, let the arms hang heavy overhead. We'll bend to the elbows. Coming into one more of those good morning stretches, really waking up the body here. This gets into your connective tissue. Wakes it up all the way from the tips of the toes to the fingertips, to the crown of the head. Reach, 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 and let it all go. Start to bring those knees towards the chest. Hugging the knees in, take a gentle rock from side to side. Giving that low back a little massage, a little love for the shoulders, building up that awareness, a little compression on the abdomen. Maybe you have a big rock from one side to the next, or maybe it's just little. Or maybe you just enjoy the bit of stillness, keeping that tuck to the chin. Beautiful. We'll start off with a twist today. So finding that stillness. If you have a favorite twist, go ahead. I just like a good old reaching of the arms out wide, left and right, and with the knees and the ankles together, just drop them over towards one side, rolling onto that hip, but keeping the shoulders planted down. A nice tuck of the chin. And see if you can take a big breath here, just let it out. Can you soften? So I think the body melts into it, becoming more passive. Maybe you gaze the opposite direction, then you drop the knees down. And starting to bring that head back up. And maybe use the arms to press down as you swing those knees back up through center and off towards the other side, dropping them down. Rolling onto that side, keeping those shoulder blades and everything glued down, maybe gazing in that other direction. Feeling the body soften here. And we're turning the head back up. And using the arms to bring those knees over the hips. And sweep those hands behind the legs as you start to extend the feet up towards the ceiling. You can have a big bend to the knees. You can alternate pressing one foot up nice and straight and long. And then the next foot up, starting to wake up into those hamstrings, maybe a touch into the glutes. And just taking a bit of movement here at first. And then finding those feet just pressing up. Really lengthening here. And take a couple rolls through the ankles. Maybe rolling the feet in opposite directions. Drawing big circles with the big toe. And then going the other way. If we want a little more here, those hands can drape down alongside the body or even tuck in underneath the tailbone, using just a little bit more of the core to keep the legs up. Beautiful. And coming to stillness, wherever you're at with bent knees or straight legs, let's add a flex into the feet. Start to flex the feet so much that you can feel that into the calf muscle. Start to feel that maybe through the back of the knee, connecting down to the hamstring. Beautiful. Relax the feet and let's add in a nice point. Starting to get into the shin, into the front of the leg. Really pointing those toes nice and tall. Relaxing the foot. Let's take one more nice flex of the foot. Just waking up the ankle, waking up the feet, and also waking up the legs. Beautiful, nice flex. Really draw those toes close towards the body. Really kick those heels up nice and tall. And relax the foot. One more nice point. Getting a nice stretch here. Maybe you imagine a little bit of resistance through the tops of the feet. So good. Relaxing here. Let's bend the knees and plant the feet down. Take a little windshield wiper if that was lots on those hip flexors or low back. Just drop the knees from side to side. One of my favorite ways to also start to get into the hips. Just feeling the knees go from one side to the next. Going into a nice hip joint. Beautiful. And welcome to stillness. Planting those feet down nice and firmly. Feel those shoulder blades root down. Take a big breath in. Feel the lungs get a little bit taller. Create the space through that spine. And on the exhale, draw everything in. Get nice and strong through that core like you took a quick breath like that. Press into the feet and float the hips up off the ground. Starting to feel into that body. Feeling those shoulders really press down nice and strong. See if you can lift those hips up just a little bit higher. Excellent. Nice little bridge pose. Noticing the knees, not letting them splay open or fall inwards, but they're nicely stacked, nice in line with those hips and right over the feet. Beautiful. Take an exhale and roll things down nice and slow, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming all the way down. Beautiful. Coming into one more, maybe you adjust the feet, walking those heels in a little bit closer to the sits bones. And pressing into the feet, floating those hips up off the ground. Really press those shoulders down. Let's start to activate into that upper body as well. So shoulders press down, palms of the hands press down, and maybe even the elbows. Feel that openness through the heart center. Really press into the heels and into the toes and the outer edges of the feet. Imagining that little strap around the knees. Lots of engagement through the legs here as well. Whole body's nice and active. Maybe you float those hips up a little bit higher, getting a beautiful stretch into that front body and through the front of the hips and through that abdomen area, right into the collarbone. If you want a little more through that collarbone, reach those fingers a little bit closer towards the heels. Maybe walk the hands down a little bit, feeling that openness. Keep holding here with strength. You gotta squeeze the glutes, pressing and stomping the feet down, and shoulders still actively pressing in towards the ground. So good, feel that activity, and let's lower things down. Nice and slowly, one by one, letting everything go. Beautiful. We'll counter that by either windshield wiping or hugging the knees in towards the chest. Take what you need, whatever you prefer. And then from there, we'll make our way up to a seated position. Starting to roll up. Finding those sits bones and planting them down. Sitting somewhat comfortably, or maybe finding that little element of challenge. Maybe try stacking the ankles in line with each other. Maybe start to press those legs down a little bit more. Take a nice inhale. Let's get as tall as we can here, reaching that crown of the head up. And exhale, press those shoulders up towards the ears, reach them back and drop them down. Oh, feel that openness through that collarbone, especially if you're a side sleeper. Really good to get one of those or a couple of those in the morning as you're getting dressed. Sitting nice and tall, little inhale, we'll sweep those arms up. Reaching up nice and tall, take the exhale, draw the hands towards heart, warming up arms and shoulders as we take about 5 of these inhales to reach up. Exhales to draw things down. You can exaggerate the movement, adding a little back bend and gazing up towards the ceiling if you want. Adding a little bow or rounding through the spine. Or just keeping the arms just moving, still seated nice and tall. Taking one more. Reaching it up nice and tall. Exhale, hands come towards heart center. Pressing into those hands, squeeze those shoulder blades, find openness and activate into the arms. And feeling that bit of strength there, feeling the shoulders. And then exhale, soften, relax. Maybe those elbows start to drop down a little bit more. Beautiful. We'll reach those arms out nice and wide, left and right, making that nice T position. Have palms facing forward. Give yourself that little thumbs up. Remind yourself you're awesome. Reach those fingers back out. And then we'll start to just tip over towards one side, just touching the pinky finger down, floating back up towards the other side. Really imagine that back being against a wall. And so as you come back up through neutral, maybe you open up the arms a little more and tuck that chin in, sliding over towards one side. Trying to keep those arms nice and level. Just from side to side, start to feel that through the side body. From where those rib cages connect down towards the hips, we're using those muscles, getting into those obliques. Beautiful. Keeping that openness through the front body. Maybe you feel a little fatigue through the shoulders if you don't often. Hold your arms out nice and wide. Just starting to feel into that. And then let's start to add on a little bit here. So as you come down, let's reach the hand up a little higher. I'm thinking it as just a tree blowing in the wind, rotating from one side to the next, feeling that now journey, not just from the hip to the rib cage, but up through the rib cage, maybe to the underarm and through the arm itself. Moving at your own pace, waking up side body and still working with those arms and shoulders. Beautiful. This is also a fun one to do, not against a wall. And then take a couple of reps against a wall. So if you've got a wall behind you, try that out. You'll realize how forward you always end up being. Excellent. Just one more into either side here. And we'll float back up. Reach those arms out, keep them up. Roll those shoulders back and down. Take an inhale, find length through that spine. Keep those shoulders nice and open. Maybe you feel that fatigue. Bring the palm facing down. Beautiful, feel that little rotation. Bring palm facing up, feel that openness. Bend the elbows, bring the hands back behind you, interlace them. Open up through those elbows. Feel that nice little stretch. Try not to push the head forward, but actually use the head to push the hands back, creating a little bit more openness. And then just take a few more drops from side to side. So we've taken the arms out of it. We're just using the torso now. And can you sense into a little bit of strength? Dropping over to one side and then the next. Thought about doing this in a nice lunge position, but I thought seated would be easier. So if you're thinking this is hard, I did think about making this harder. Maybe this is what you're grateful for. Beautiful. Come on, back up. Beautiful. Reach those arms up nice and tall, maybe interlaced, maybe not, maybe palms lift up, maybe not. And take a nice bow forward, find a forward fold, let those arms rest. Drop the head down. Let this feel good on the shoulders. Let this feel good on the low back. Beautiful. Taking just a few breaths of stillness. And coming back to that intention. Maybe a quick scan through the body, checking in. Pressing in. Let's come on back up towards seated. And we'll come into an all fours position, getting ready for a downward dog. Planting those hands in towards the mat, knees underneath those hips. Take a few little cat-cow breaths, little inhales to look up, press the belly button down towards the floor, feel that arch through the back. Take that exhale, round through the shoulders, press the spine up towards the ceiling. And take a few breaths here, moving through, nice inhales. And then exhales, feeling the spine move and counter move, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming to that stillness, let's really tuck those toes under, using each one of the toes and press into those hands as you float those knees up off the ground, setting those hips up nice and high, pedaling it out as you downward dog. Feel into the arms, see if you can press a little more into the hands, bringing the arms more in line with the ears or even towards the back of the head, not floating forward, feeling the back of the calves be active. As you imagine reaching those heels down towards the ground, even if there's lots of space there, it's that pressing down motion that starts to create that openness right from the Achilles all the way up the back line of the leg. Beautiful. Let's look forward to the front of the mat and roll into a little plank position. Knees can drop down if you'd like. Nice and strong, bringing the shoulders right over the wrists. Excellent. Maybe you come a little bit more forward, feeling that little stretch through the wrist. Bring those shoulders back. Float those knees back up as you press back into downward dog, reaching it out. Nice stretch through the back as you really try to bring that heart center towards the thighs. Looking forward now, we'll start to roll forward, coming back into that plank position. Drop the knees down. And let's lower down, letting the elbows graze the ribs. Excellent. And starting to press up, taking a really gentle back bend here. Hands still under the shoulders, elbows pressing in towards the rib cage. And starting to press the pelvis down. This is a nice baby cobra, making sure those ears are so far from the shoulders. Connecting with the breath on the inhale. Maybe you reach the crown of the head a little bit taller. On the exhale, maybe you get strong through that core, press the pelvis down more. Beautiful. And keep pressing firmly into those hands as you start to rise up a little bit more and then through that tabletop. Tuck those toes back into downward dog. Now looking forward, take a nice big step and find your forward fold. Let the body hang heavy, let the torso simply just drape down, the legs will support you. Maybe instead of staring at the floor, arching through the neck, you look more towards the knees, letting the crown of the head drop down towards the ground. You can bend the knees, rest the torso here. If you want a little more release for that low back, it feels so good. There's no shame in bending the knees. It's what that whole body part is for, is bending. We'll take an inhale. We'll come up halfway, planting those hands above the knees. Roll those shoulders back and down. Really lengthen here. Let this feel good on the spine. Bend those knees, sink the hips, and let's press all the way up, finding a nice standing pose, reaching up. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful, drop those hands down. Take a nice big inhale as you reach up. Exhale, chair pose, bending knees, sinking the hips down. Beautiful, you can sit up nice and high if you want. Hands can come to heart if those arms are tired or sore. Maybe you drop those hips down a little bit more. Either that option to bow forward or to keep those shoulders more over the hips. And using those glutes a little bit stronger. Connecting with the breath here, find that inhale. On that exhale, nice and strong, maybe tuck that tail under, using that core and those postural muscles. Take a little glance at the feet. As I look down, I see my feet are pointing outwards a little bit, so maybe take a little moment to align them. One more breath here. Finding the inhale, taking that exhale, maybe sink down a little more, press all the way up. Nice big stretch up. Optional back bend if you want that, if that would feel good. Here, go ahead and take it. And come on back up. Reach it up tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Excellent. Feeling the body be grounded. Start to shift the weight into that right foot as the left foot starts to come up. Coming in just to a bit of a bounce, feeling rooted down on that right side. Beautiful. Open up the knee off towards the side. Just feel that openness through the hip. And bring the knee back towards center. Feel the hips square. And then start to bow down. Bring knee towards knee. Nice little flamingo pose. Beautiful. If you want more, you can really kind of crouch down. Imagine hugging onto that knee, into the body. And coming back up if you crouch down and stepping that foot back into a high lunge position. Reaching those fingertips up. Rolling right hip back, press, left hip forward. You can adjust the feet as you need to. Closer together, more gentleness, farther apart, more intensity. You can bend through the knee or even drop that knee down if you want more gentleness as well. Or you can really press into that leg, lengthening it, rolling that hip back. Maybe you sink a little deeper. Take an exhale, take a nice bow down, rest the torso on the leg, reach those fingertips back. Option to bind here, holding the fingertips together and floating them up, getting a nice shoulder stretch. Releasing those hands back down, extending that crown of the head nice and long as you press the fingertips back. Take an inhale and sweep on back up, coming back to that nice high lunge. Beautiful. Take that exhale, find a warrior two now. Finding that openness and dropping that left heel down and spinning the toes towards the long edge of the mat. Maybe adjusting and hopping that foot back. Wonderful, warrior two stance. Feel that openness through the hips. Drawing now that right knee back, pressing it back. Open up through that left hip. And the hands can hang out on the hips if the arms are tired or sore. Beautiful. Drop the hands down. Align those shoulders forward. Find your humble warrior bowing down. So there's a little shift of the shoulders. I'm pointing forward, but that back leg is still active. Keep pressing into it. Feel that pressure, that weight over top of that right leg, nice and strong through the leg, through the thigh. If you want a little more, that body can drape off just towards the side of the leg, and so that the head can really drop down. Using the strength of the legs, let's start to bring the body back up. We'll reach those arms out back to warrior two. So good. Looking forward, we'll take a nice big step and land it at the top of the mat. We'll take a nice big inhale and reach up. We'll exhale and we'll forward fold, bowing down. Take what you need in your forward fold. Here's our rest and recovery pose. Maybe bend the knees, wrap the hands around the back of the legs. Maybe you find movement, it's a little sway from side to side, or alternate bending between one knee and the next, getting into those hamstrings a little bit more. You lengthen through the legs. Thinking about movement here, I'm thinking about flexing my feet. So maybe you think about that. If you have a chair or a stool in front of you, that might be easier to keep the balance. Or if you can reach down from the ground, just something to stabilize. As you try to bring the toes up off the ground, press those heels down. Can you feel that extra little bit of pull that happens? Maybe you get the whole front of your foot off the ground. Roll the feet back down. Let's play around with the point of the foot, pressing into the toes, maybe lifting the heels up off the ground. A little toe stand happening here, waking up those ankles. Dropping those heels back down, feeling the whole foot be grounded. And then we'll inhale, come up halfway, finding that length here, pressing into the legs. Rolling those shoulders back, pressing the crown of the head so far forward. Bend the knees, sink the hips, press on up, take a nice big reach up, so good. Exhale, hands to heart. Feeling those shoulders stack over the hips, over the knees and the ankle, body nicely aligned. Beautiful, drop those hands down. Make a nice big stretch up, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, chair pose. Dropping those hips down, arms can stay up or come towards heart center. Beautiful. Finding the breath, holding here for roughly 3 breaths. So we already got 1 done. Maybe you bring those shoulders more over the hips. Maybe you sink things a little lower. Finding that strength, maybe a little gaze at the toes, making sure you still have nice alignment of the feet. Beautiful, tuck that tailbone under. 1 more breath here, take an inhale, remembering to breathe. On that exhale, maybe you sink just a little more as you launch yourself back up to standing, nice big reach up. So good, exhale, hands to heart. Starting to shift that weight now towards that left foot. And the right foot starts to float up. Maybe just up a little bit, maybe up really high. Just playing around with your balance, getting into the mind. Adding in a bit of movement here, open the knee off towards the side. And feeling that openness through the hip. Bring it back towards center. Beautiful. And start to take a little bow as you bring knee towards knee. Beautiful, floating here. Or maybe rounding through, hugging that knee in, taking your flamingo. And if you bow down, let's come on back up, finding that stability, and slowly kicking that right foot back, touching it down into that nice high lunge position. Sweeping it up, adjusting the feet as you need to. Taking that nice reach up, rolling that left foot back. Press into those right toes as that right hip shifts forwards. Big breath in, reaching up to that exhale, engagement through the core. See if you can tuck that tailbone under. And bow things down, and reach those hands back. Option to bind or just reach the hands back. Beautiful, lowering those hands back down. Taking an inhale, and on that exhale, sweeping all the way back up. Nice high lunge. Let's drop things into a warrior 2. Dropping that right heel back into alignment. Toes spin out. Left knee presses open. Legs are active. Arms reaching out. Or even if you have your hands on your hips, still see if you can open up through the shoulders. And find some strength through that collarbone. Beautiful. 1 more breath here. Excellent, dropping those hands down, aligning those shoulders forward. Keep pressing into that right leg. And as you come into your humble warrior, often have your hands on the back. That's really common for your humble warrior. Or you can hold that leg. There's it's fun to wrap the hands around. Maybe you bring your hands on the body just off to the side as you drop that head down a little bit lower. Beautiful. Pressing into the legs. Feel the strength through that left leg, but don't forget about the right leg. Keep pressing into that pinky side edge as you get ready to float the torso back up, lifting up nice and strong. Let's find that warrior two. Beautiful, relaxing those hands down. Looking towards the front of the mat and taking that nice big step towards the top. Take an inhale and reach it up. Take an exhale, find your fold. Connecting with the breath, release the neck, give it a shake no. Maybe a little nod yes, but shake no, lets everything go. Inhale, halfway lift. Really lengthening here. Maybe you get a couple cracks and pops out. Keeping that length through the spine, let's bend the knees, plant those hands down, take a nice big step back. Finding that downward dog, really reaching into those arms. Hips pressing up. Arms nice and strong. Legs lengthening. Beautiful, drop the knees down, take a little puppy pose. Option for also child's pose to sit back on the feet. Puppy pose keeps the hips over the knees. The hands reach forward as the heart melts down. Feeling that back bend. You have the forehead on the ground. And you're looking for more. That's when you start to look up, bring the chin more in line with the ground. Or anywhere there along the way. Just really bending through the spine. Pressing into those hands, start to walk the body back into a closed-kneed child's pose. So resting the torso on the legs, elbows can either tuck in and you can hold the chin or hold the forehead, or you can let everything just drop down and reach the hands backwards, reaching for the feet. Taking 5 to 7 full breaths here. Feeling the hips soften, the shoulders relax, let the body just melt. Taking a big inhale and a full exhale. Starting to rise back up. Maybe by planting the hands under the shoulders and using the arms to press up. Excellent. We'll come into a seated position, extending the legs long in front. Just taking a little bit of a staff pose here, Toes up towards the ceiling, just checking that alignment. Take an inhale and sit up a little bit taller. That exhale to relax the shoulders, but still feel that engagement through the core and the low back. Feeling those sits bones press down. We'll come in towards a half butterfly. And so bringing that right knee in, planting the foot against the leg. Foot can either stay flush in front or can come off towards the side a little bit. Whatever feels best for your body or however you want to work at that. Beautiful. We'll take an inhale and we'll reach those arms up, lengthening the spine. That's what it's about here. And aligning those shoulders with the foot, and take an exhale, take a nice bow forward, dropping the hands either right into the thigh, maybe bring elbows, or just reach the hands towards the ankles or the foot. And aligning those shoulders with the foot lets us be more about the hamstring, more about the back of the leg. If you naturally hyperextend through the knee here, you actually have to work a little harder, imagining lifting of that kneecap or bringing a slight bend to the knee to help protect those muscles in that joint. An option to round through the spine, dropping the head down, or to work with a flat back here. I'll let it be your choice, so make sure you're choosing one or the other. Holding the pose, noticing what the brain is thinking. What are the thoughts that are popping up? Simply observing them, trying to not interact with them. Just another few rounds of breath. Seeing if you can keep the stillness, if you want more of that yin practice. Trying not to fidget. Or finding what the body needs, maybe embracing that bit of movement. If you want more of that restorative version. Take a nice big breath in. And then a full breath out. Start to rise back up towards seated. Feeling maybe that little rebound. Option to just plant the hands alongside the body or even lean back slightly and giving that back a little bit of rest. Just roll those shoulders back. Feeling that return of blood flow and energy towards that right leg. And work on extending that right leg long, left leg long. Beautiful. Starting to sit back up, shoulders over hips. Toes up towards ceiling, just sitting with intention. And then coming into that left side, left leg, bends and comes in, finds openness. Maybe it connects with the thigh, maybe it doesn't. Finding how you want to be seated. Take that inhale, just stretch and reach up. Feel that through the spine as you reach the arms up. Align those shoulders with that extended leg and take a nice bow down, either with the flat back or rounded back. Coming into that forward fold here. Feeling that through the leg, maybe into the hips, soft on low back. just getting distracted. Feeling the lungs, inhale and exhale. Taking a few more breaths here. And choosing to adjust or keep the stillness. Taking an inhale, maybe taking that halfway lift and lengthening through the spine. And using that exhale to come the rest of the way up. Bring the hands alongside the body or just a touch back. As you relax through the back. And extend the legs. Taking that little rebound. Slowly bringing those shoulders back over the hips, and then getting ready to lay down. Maybe bend the knees and roll back nice and slowly, feeling the spine connected. Feeling any of those little adjustments the spine takes from those forward folds. Maybe start the knees bent and the feet planted. Rolling those shoulders back and down, feel into that openness. Let that spine readjust. Let's bring the soles of the feet to touch. Either just walking the ankles in closer together and let the knees fall open. Little reclined cobbler pose. The arms can hang out alongside the body, or maybe even make fists under the legs, or have the hands drape over the legs. If you want to get a little more into the shoulders today, you can come into the boss arms, mirroring what the legs are doing with the arms, interlacing the hands behind the head and elbows draping open. Trying to connect as much as you can with the mat. Connecting the spine down and the shoulders, as much of the arms, those outer edges of the feet, maybe a little more into the ankles. Feeling that pull of gravity on the knees, getting into those inner thighs. Feeling the openness of the hips. Coming back to the breath. Taking a few more rounds of breath here. have the hands behind the head, start to release them. Either reaching them out wide, left and right, or bring them back alongside the body. Starting to float the knees back up towards the ceiling and planting the soles of the feet down. Beautiful. Hugging one knee in and then the next. And drawing the knees in towards the body. Relaxing the shoulders still. You simply just hug the legs in. If you want a little more, you can reach the hands through the knees for the feet. So you work towards happy baby. Feet float up towards the ceiling, knees tuck in towards the shoulders, the underarm. And keeping your tuck to the chin. And feeling the breath. Feeling the spine and the hips. And then if there's any other pose or movement you want to take from here, go ahead and do so. What else does the body need before you settle into Savasana? Taking time to explore that, letting it be good, letting it be just for you. Should you not want any other movements, you're welcome to just settle into your final pose, your Savasana. If you are taking a pose or movement, make sure you make enough time to get both sides in. And then at any point that you're ready, finding that final pose if you haven't done so already. And then reconnecting with the breath. Taking the inhales and the exhales. Letting the body be soft and at peace. Breathing in and breathing out. And coming back to the nice full breath. Filling the lungs and using the diaphragm. Creating space with each breath you take. Remembering that intention from the beginning of class. I'm just drawing it to mind again. If it'll serve the rest of your day, hold it close. Or maybe it's time to let it go. Thinking of a new intention. Whatever journeys you have to come. And taking a bit of movement. Waking up the body. Maybe it's little wiggles and squeezes. Maybe it's a good morning stretch. Maybe you roll onto your side, taking a little fetal position. Going over the next little bit. Either enjoying the stillness on your side or starting to make your way up towards seated. Options to keep the eyes closed or to find a little mark to focus it on. We'll finish class by taking a big cleansing breath that breathes in as deep as you can and exhales out anything else you no longer need. So getting ready for that big giant breath, starting that inhale, breathing in. Big inhale, filling the lungs, fill the diaphragm, fill the cheeks. Big breath in, take that big exhale, let it go. Taking another inhale to sit up nice and tall. And that exhale to relax the shoulders. Bring the hands towards heart center. Just remembering to have gratitude for yourself, for your practice, for the thoughts that you have. Starting with gratefulness. May the rest of your day be filled with many moments of joy. May every step you take be blessed. Namaste. Thank you guys so much, little online world. I will be here Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, streaming for free and live. Feel free to join in whenever you guys need to. Whenever you guys need a little yoga or find it and rewatch it, you guys can always save them. Oh, Doreen, so good to see you. We're happy with me virtually here. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. Feel free to subscribe to the Real Person Yoga Facebook page and on Instagram. And have a great day. That is all.